What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Bryce, and today I'm going to be reading chapter 7 of the Parker Inheritance. Let's begin. Chapter 7. For the next 30 minutes, Candace Miller stared at the letter. The letter stared back. The paper was stiff, stale, brittle, like peanut butter cookies that had been left out for too long. The letter, with its small, black, single-spaced words and yellow edges, spoke of a mystery. She knew she couldn't tell her mother about it. Not yet. Not if it had anything to do with her grandmother getting fired. But then again, how could she not talk to her mom about it? Candace thought about all the puzzle books and logic games her grandmother used to buy for her, including the one she had just found in the attic. Had Grandma been preparing her all this time? The letter also spoke of an opportunity, an inheritance, a fortune, enough for them to keep their house, enough to stop them from moving. She looked up when she heard footsteps approaching. Brandon cautiously crept into the kitchen, his huge backpack on his shoulders. "Hey Candace, I didn't know what happened to you. I wanted to let you know that I was about to leave." He held up the mythology book. "I'll bring this back in a few days." "Oh yeah, sure." She looked down at the letter, then glanced back at Brandon. "Okay, this is going to sound a little strange, but have you ever heard of Enoch, Leanne, or Siobhan Washington? Or maybe the Allen family?" Brandon tilted his head at her pronunciation. Siobhan. "Can you spell that?" She looked down at the letter. Siobhan. "Oh," he said after a second. "I think it's pronounced Shivon." Candace scowled at herself. Brandon was right. A character in one of her mom's books had the same name. "The only reason I know is because a girl named Siobhan used to babysit us," he continued. "But no, I haven't heard of her." "Who were the other people again?" She repeated the names. "The Washingtons lived here a long time ago," she said, tracing the edge of the paper. "And the Allens used to be really rich." Brandon sat down beside her at the table, his backpack still on his shoulders. "Did you see that empty lot across from the library? The one filled with masonry bricks?" She shook her head. "I don't remember it." "Well, that was supposed to be the new library," Brandon said. "They were going to name it after Russell Allen. I think he was a big-time businessman around here. Then, according to one of the librarians, some rich guy paid the country not to open the Allen Library. He gave them a bunch of money to rehab and expand the existing building instead." Candace glanced at the letter again. Whoever had written it had wanted to destroy the Allens. Could he have been behind the donations to the library? "Do you know the name of the guy who gave the money for the renovations?" she asked. "No, but maybe we could ask one of the librarians, or maybe my granddad knows." Candace didn't reply for a few minutes. She was thinking through the letter, trying to make the connections among the library, the Allens, the Washingtons, and her grandmother. It was all too murky. "You seem a little busy," Brandon said, glancing at the letter. "Do you want me to come back here?" she said, thrusting the paper at him. "Can you read this?" He frowned, but took the letter. Candace tried not to cringe as he read to himself, his lips moving silently as he made his way down the page. She was a little surprised that she actually handed the letter to Brandon. He was nice, but she only known him for a few days. He was just a boy from across the street. But there was something about the way he sat there, with the welts beating up on his face, wearing a backpack way too big for his frame, a backpack full of books that, for some reason, he couldn't check out on his own because they were too girly. She didn't know if she could trust him, but she wanted to. Plus, she really wanted to talk with someone about the letter. "Interesting," he said after finishing the letter. "And what does that say?" He pointed to the envelope and her grandmother's note. Just scribbles, Candace quickly said, sliding it away from her. She wasn't ready to share everything yet. Any idea who wrote the letter? No. I assume that whoever he is, he likes being mysterious. I bet he's the same guy who made the donation to the library. Well, there's a lot of stuff in the letter that's kind of superfluous, he said. That means... I know what it means, dictionary boy. She jutted her thumb towards herself. Daughter of a professional writer, remember? He laughed. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Anyway, he wrote about a lot of things that don't even have to do with the Washingtons. Brandon scanned the letter again. Do you know when they were forced to leave the city? Candace shook her head. My guess is that it must have been in the 50s or 60s. You know he mentioned you in here as well, Brandon said. Huh? Last paragraph, he said, where he's talking about making a better world for your grandchild. He didn't say grandchildren. He was speaking directly toward your grandmother about you, Brandon shrugged. Granddad told me you were Mrs. Caldwell's only grandchild. Miss Caldwell's only grandchild. Not Mrs. Miss. I didn't even see that. I totally read it as grandchildren, she said. He handed the letter back to Candace. I think we should talk to my granddad about it. She was already shaking her head. I don't know. We've got cookies. Mom baked them yesterday. Candace's stomach closed at the moment to grumble. Cookies sounded so much better than sandwiches. She took a deep breath. So, you actually believe this is real? My mom thinks it's a hoax. Well, it could be, but what if it's not? I mean, if there really is a fortune out there waiting to be found, don't you think someone would have found it by now? Candace didn't like how much she sounded like her mom. Do you think it's real? He asked. Candace thought for a moment, then nodded. Yeah, I do. It was so much easier to think it was real when two people believed it. She looked at the note on the envelope, rubbing her grandmother's bracelet. Make that 3 people. And that's chapter 7. So tomorrow I'll be reading chapter 8. And that's about it. Peace out.